Prince Harry and wife Meghan Markle, they've just learned the hardest of lessons, which is, if you start a brawl, do not be surprised if you end up getting punched twice as hard. In fact, South Park has just knocked them out.
Ever feel like someone's always playing a role, like they're acting even in their most emotional moments? That's the vibe around Meghan Markle right now, and things are getting messy. How does that feel? Let me know if you'd like any tweaks.
Devastating, very funny, and it made Harry and Meghan a laughingstock around the world. And not just in the English-speaking parts of it, the Spanish one as well, and in France, and in Germany, and in Holland, in fact, just about everywhere. It has been devastating. Joining me every Monday is commentator Esther Kraku.
Meghan Markle's image has always been under a microscope, but recently things took a serious turn. Enter Piers Morgan. Known for his love of stirring the pot, Morgan has been vocal about his disdain for Meghan for years. But this time, he didn't just tweet a snarky comment or roll his eyes. Oh no. He went full-blown attack mode on live TV, calling Meghan out in a way that made even her most loyal defenders squirm. The Moment, a podcast episode from Meghan, where she spoke about her struggles, her pain, and the victimization she's faced. But Piers wasn't having it. He went off claiming, "Nobody set out to destroy you. You destroyed yourself with your hypocritical behavior." Ouch. His words hit hard, but it wasn't just his harsh criticism of Meghan's words. It was how he framed it. He called her out for playing a part, a role, like a character in a movie. This wasn't some exaggerated complaint about her royal life. He accused her of manufacturing her entire public persona, saying her narrative was as fake as a scripted reality show, and this wasn't some mild disagreement. He went for her emotions. He criticized her claims of crying during heartfelt moments, questioning her sincerity. "Not a single tear in sight," he said, referring to the supposed tear-filled moments in her podcast. That's when things really exploded. It felt like the internet was on fire, with people diving into every corner of Meghan's life to find evidence of her performance, digging into past interviews and old clips. It was no longer just about her royal exit. It was about her entire public persona, and whether any of it was real.
That has made them look ridiculous around virtually the whole world, not least because of that mockery was so accurate. I mean, I can't imagine they've got an ego big enough to bear that.
Meghan Markle's podcast was meant to be a chance for her to open up, share her side of the story, and connect with listeners on a deeper level. But instead of just offering a glimpse into her life, it became a lightning rod for controversy. The problem? People started wondering if the emotional moments she shared were genuine or just another performance. It all started with her soft-lit, whisper-voiced delivery. Everything about it felt calculated. The lighting, the pauses, the way her voice would crack just so. Critics quickly began asking, was she really crying or was this just acting? And the internet didn't let it slide. A clip from her Suits days resurfaced where Meghan jokingly said she could cry on command, even demonstrating how she could summon a tear with a snap of her fingers. At the time, it was funny, but now, with the stakes so much higher, it raised a serious question. Was Meghan faking emotion for her audience? Fans and critics alike began re-examining every word, every pause in her podcast. Was it really raw and emotional, or had she rehearsed it all for maximum impact? Her podcast went from a personal space for vulnerability to a scrutinized stage. Suddenly, it wasn't just about what Meghan was saying, it was about how she was saying it. And every perfectly timed moment, every crack in her voice made people wonder, is this the real Meghan? Or just the character she's crafted for us?
Not the look that they were going for. And look, South Park is known for satire and for mocking people. No one is safe. This isn't the first time they've done an episode on the royal family, but this particular episode was quite scathing and the grains of truth that it held. And I'm not sure how the Sussexes are taking it. Obviously, it is a cartoon.
One of the most glaring moments that fueled the backlash against Meghan Markle came from an unexpected place: her royal title. Despite stepping back from royal duties, Meghan made a major misstep when she casually used Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex in the stationery for her podcast. It might seem small, but to critics, it was proof that she wasn't quite ready to let go of the royal glamour, just the responsibilities that came with it. Meghan and Harry had made it clear they wanted to escape the strict royal rules and live life on their own terms. But here was Meghan, using the title of Duchess, while also branding herself as a rebel. It felt hypocritical to many. Why keep the perks of royalty without the work that came with it? Piers Morgan, unsurprisingly, jumped on this moment, calling it out as manipulation. He argued that Meghan wanted the sympathy of a victim and the prestige of being a duchess, but also wanted the freedom of living outside the royal family's constraints. The message was clear. She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. It was this subtle contradiction, seeking the fame but not the rules, that started to turn the tide against her.
The episode called what they were doing a worldwide privacy tour, which is obviously a play on really what they're trying to do.
Every time I hear that, it's just so brilliant.
As Meghan Markle's media presence grew, so did the scrutiny. It wasn't just the royal title or the podcast drama. What really caught fire was the public's reaction, especially on social media. People began asking, is this really who she is, or is it all a performance? And the more they analyzed, the more the lines between reality and her crafted image started to blur. Memes, tweets, and think pieces exploded online. Some fans who once supported her were now questioning if everything was too polished, too calculated. Critics pointed to every small detail: the perfectly lit podcast moments, the flawless wardrobe choices, and even the emotional pauses that felt more like rehearsed acting than raw vulnerability. People couldn't help but wonder, was she really sharing her truth, or was she just telling a version of it that would keep her brand strong? Meghan's fans weren't the only ones starting to feel uneasy. The media began picking up on the shift, amplifying the skepticism. Was this just another celebrity persona, carefully crafted for maximum public appeal? Or was there something real beneath the surface? The internet didn't hold back, and as the pressure mounted, the question remained: what part of Meghan's life was genuine and what was just for show?
Now, there is no doubt about it that Meghan Markle's viral video created a new negative wave of backlash against her that resulted in many other studios actually deciding to put any kind of affiliation with her either to a halt or firing her directly. That's exactly what happened with both Paramount and A24.
As the scrutiny around Meghan Markle intensified, the fallout started to hit her career head-on. What was supposed to be a high-profile Netflix deal quickly soured. Initially, it seemed like a match made in Hollywood heaven. Meghan and Harry, the rebellious royals, signing a headline-grabbing deal to produce content. But what they delivered was far from what the public expected. Instead of raw, authentic stories, the content felt glossy and overproduced, much like a reality show stripped of its spark. The first season of their Netflix series fizzled out faster than anyone anticipated, leaving critics to call it all polish, no pulse. What had started as a rebellion against royal constraints now seemed like an attempt to create a sanitized, scripted version of their lives. Brands took notice, and not in a good way. Behind the scenes, whispers started circulating among Hollywood insiders. Reports emerged of creative control issues, with Meghan reportedly wanting to oversee every detail of the content. She wasn't just managing her image, she was controlling the narrative with an iron fist. While this might work in certain industries, it became exhausting for people who expected more flexibility and genuine collaboration. Slowly, major brand deals started to evaporate. Executives who once eagerly courted the couple began backing away. Meghan and Harry's star power was undeniable, but the unpredictability that came with their image made them a risky investment.
Yes, took them out of the box, put them in some other packets, which seems to be Meghan's idea of cooking.
Let me grab this part.
Fuck.
Ooh, sorry, that's all he says.
Meghan Markle's carefully curated image began to unravel as the public started questioning the authenticity of her every move. What was once seen as vulnerability now appeared to be more about perfecting a public persona. Even the smallest details, her wardrobe choices, the lighting in her interviews, felt more like they belonged in a photo shoot than a raw, real-life moment. It was as if every aspect of her life had been meticulously planned, down to the last detail. Take her trip to Nigeria, for example. What should have been a moment of cultural connection quickly became a PR nightmare. Pictures of Meghan in traditional attire went viral, but instead of celebrating her outreach, critics accused her of using the trip as a photo op. The staged smiles, the hand-picked moments, It all felt too calculated to be genuine. Once again, people started asking, is this authentic? Or is it just another carefully crafted image? This wasn't just about one trip or one podcast episode anymore. It was a pattern. Meghan's brand, built on the idea of authenticity, had become more about what people saw and less about what they felt. She wasn't just telling her story anymore, she was performing it. And as the lines blurred between who she truly was and the persona she projected, the public began to wonder, which version of Meghan Markle is the real one?
Harry, though, has become the punchline of a Saturday Night Live joke. Let's have a look.
NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for
As the scrutiny of Meghan Markle continued to grow, a surprising shift began to take place among her supporters. Fans who had once rallied behind her as the bold outsider challenging the monarchy now found themselves questioning everything. What had once felt like a genuine escape from royal constraints started to feel more like a carefully constructed brand. People began to feel duped, not because Meghan had shared her story, but because it began to feel like every part of her narrative was being shaped for effect. Her authenticity, once the cornerstone of her appeal, was now under fire. What began as admiration for her bravery turned into skepticism over whether she was just playing the victim for sympathy. Fans who once saw her as a rebel now started asking, are we witnessing a woman telling her truth? Or are we watching someone who's mastered the art of telling a truth that sells? This wasn't just a backlash from critics. Even Meghan's most devoted fans were now questioning whether they had been sold a carefully packaged version of her life. The idea that her every move, every emotion was orchestrated for maximum impact made people feel uneasy. It wasn't just about her royal exit anymore. It was about the way she had turned her image into a brand and whether it was authentic at all.
A mystery for the ages.
Hey?
Did you know it's cold in there?
Yeah.
Must be an American thing.
It's not.
But wait, watch this. Amazing, right? This might be...
Meghan Markle's next moves were supposed to mark a clean break from the controversy, a chance to reinvent herself and rebuild her image. Rumors swirled about potential projects that could serve as her redemption arc. A lifestyle brand, a cooking show, or even a wellness empire to rival Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. The idea was clear. Pivot away from the drama, embrace something softer and more relatable, and rebuild her public image in a way that would connect with audiences without the baggage of her past. But the problem wasn't the type of project. It was the weight of the baggage that came with it. Meghan couldn't shake the perception that everything she did was tainted by her previous controversies. No matter how light or harmless her new projects appeared, they carried an invisible weight. The skepticism of a public that had begun to question her authenticity. People weren't just watching her content anymore. They were analyzing it, waiting for the mask to slip, searching for cracks in the carefully constructed persona she'd built. Even something as simple as a goodwill visit became a focal point. Her trip to Nigeria, intended to be a moment of cultural outreach, quickly became another opportunity for critics to accuse her of using it as a PR stunt. Meghan's attempts to pivot to a new image were met with doubt and cynicism. The question wasn't just what she was doing, it was why she was doing it, and whether the true Meghan could ever emerge from behind the brand.
Back by changing our brand. All right, and I do see you're in our database, but you didn't first get help at this Cumhammer location?
No, my wife went to one in California as a child.
Ah, okay, then you must be in the national system. Oh yeah, is this you? Sorority girl, actress, influencer, victim.
Yeah, that's totally me.
Oh.
Meghan Markle isn't fading from the spotlight anytime soon, but the chapter she's in now is far from the one she might have envisioned. As the public continues to scrutinize every word, every glance, and every perfectly crafted moment, the question remains, will she ever break free from the image she's built? Or is this the only Meghan Markle will ever see? Her next move could be the redemption people are waiting for, or it could be another carefully curated act. The real challenge for Meghan is whether she can find a way to drop the script and show us something truly raw. Until then, she'll keep reinventing herself, but the question on everyone's mind will always be the same. Is it real, or is it just part of the performance?